Yeah, yeah, we've talked about this lasting for 2 hours. Well, I was actually bothered about time, so I prepared something that probably would take about an hour, for us to deliver because I didn't really want to labor us. I don't know our capacity because I believe that some of us today might be the first time um we might be talking about hearing about cybersecurity. So I just did something for like an hour and so as not to overload us. So we'll be talking about cybersecurity navigating into the digital frontier. So the title is Cybersecurity, Your Great Way to a Future-Proof Profession. So we'll be delving into, there are so many angles of cybersecurity or so many roles in cybersecurity, but our focus this night will be on the SOC analyst role. SOC analyst means Security Operations Center analyst. So it's it's like one of the best roles to get into cybersecurity through because there are so many roles involved in cybersecurity. It's a very, very broad area. So the SOC analyst role, it's a very good place to start. And as you can see in the screen, my name is Owen Munonye. So I prefer to be known as Lightning and today's date of the lecture. So proceed to the next slide. So today we'll be talking about definitions of a digital landscape, a brief definition of what cybersecurity is and the core objectives and why we do, why cybersecurity. We'll also talk a little bit about the job prospects in cybersecurity, sectors, roles, and global salary scales. And briefly, we'll delve into the requirements, what you really need to do to become a cybersecurity professional, educational pathways, and the importance of gaining how you can gain employment and also build experience and a little bit about preparing for interview. Then in chapter 4, we'll delve a little bit into the SOC analyst role. Who are they? What do they do? The tools, a little bit about the tools they use and logs, like you can see on the screen, is just one of the tools they use and maybe a little hands-on game. And let's see how it goes. So cybersecurity in a nutshell. So um cybersecurity is just the security of our digital landscape or our cyberspace. When we talk about first and foremost our devices or our nodes, which can be for big organizations, it could be their servers where they host websites, where they also host their database or emails or their storage spaces. It could also be in the security of their um, compute services, their networking devices. When we talk about routers, the hub, and how all these things are interconnected because in this digital space, digital time we are in, you find that a whole lot of organizations are all there into the web, and behind the scenes of all these things, there are a whole lot of devices at work. We have storages, we have compute, and sometimes the storages and the computer, or sometimes it might be remote in a remote location, which means in your office spaces, physically in a room dedicated to them, or it might just be a little corner in your office that you have designated to host these compute resources. Or they might be hosted in the clouds, like your email. Someone might ask me, what's the meaning of the cloud? when we say cloud, we don't really mean somewhere up in the sky, probably the white things, foams up in the sky. We don't really mean that. We mean data centers that might be in some locations all over the world. So, and because it's like you don't really know where these data centers are, so we just coin them as the cloud, but they're actually physical locations on this earth. So all these things, the interconnectivity of all these things, that's what we really refer to as a cyberspace, and the technology that interweaves and it links these things all together. So now, there's this analogy I always use to give people a clear picture of what we are talking about. Now, imagine there is a housing estate, which of course a lot of us know that you host housing estates in a large expanse of land. Then you fence it round and you put a central gate. So from that gate, you really monitor who comes into the estate and who goes out to the outside of the estate. Now, in the estate, you have roads, a road network that links from one house to the other, or from one infrastructure to the other in that same estate. Now, in these houses that are connected with roads, they have gates. Some of these houses also have gates. And beyond the gates, before you enter into the house, you have a pathway, then you have a door. And in that door, you also have a security feature on the door. You have locks on the door. Then when you get into the houses are made up of rooms. Sometimes it could be an office spaces made up of rooms. And in some houses are also zoned. You have the kitchen, dining area, you have the living room area, and you have the rooms, and you also have bedrooms, all with doors. Now, what am I talking about here? Now, imagine that estate we are talking about is a cyberspace. It's one big cyberspace. Then imagine that the houses in the estate are organizations all over the world. Or it could be you as a human being, you and I, or it could be houses, Then imagine that the houses are organizations, like I have said. Then imagine that the rooms are everybody's laptop. Probably in organizations, you now have laptops, you have storage devices, you have printers, you have routers. So, and the rooms also have doors. So now imagine like the doors also connote when you want to open your laptop, you want to go in, you first of all have to log in. Probably you want to go into your email, you want to go into your account, you have to log into it. So that's what the door is like. So now the security of your house a lot of times starts from the bedroom. The bedroom has a door, it has locks, and it has key. Then every room in that bedroom has a door and they have locks with keys. So now might not want somebody to come into your bedroom and you now put a door there with a lock. So for the person to gain access into your door, they need to have your keys. Now, in a house too, you also have a door with a lock and a key. Then at the gate of the compound, you also have the gate with a lock. Then you have roads to the estate. Then at the estate, the gate of the estate, you also have a gate there. You have a security man who stands there. And in some estates, before you access the estate, they have to stop you there and they ask you, hey, where are you going to? You say, I'm going to so-so street. And they say, okay, which street? You say, which house? You now name the house. And they say, who do you want to look for there? And you mention the name. Then the gate man now rings the house to make sure that they know that somebody is looking for them, to make sure that you have an appointment or they are appointed with you, because they don't want the people in the house to be at risk. So when they confirm that, they open the gate and the person drives in. He drives down through the streets, locates the compound, enters the compound, knocks at the gate. The gate man now further interrogates him. What's your name and who you're looking for? And if that is confirmed, the gate man opens the door. And by the time he gets to your door, he presses a bell. And you now ask, who are you? And he mentions his name. And if somebody you know, you open the door and he enters the house. Now, all these things I've just described here are the same thing that happens on the internet. The same thing. Now, with the estate, just the same way, if there is a security lapse at the estate gate and the person enters the estate, then everybody in the estate knows that there is trouble because there is an unwanted personality in the estate. That's the same way cybersecurity is. What I have and I'll just explain to you, that's just the way it works on the cyber realm. Now, just like you have roads, we have traffic in the cyberspace. We have network connectivities. And just like the estates now, let us say like the estate is a country. Let's say like the country of Nigeria. You know, Nigeria also has its own cyberspace. It also has its own cyber gate, whereby if you want to get into Nigeria, the Nigerian cyberspace, you don't just get into it. There are some things you need to do, some things you need to pass through to get into Nigerian cyberspace. And just the same way it is with every bank, they also have their security features and where they which they install to allow people to allow the traffic that they want to get into their digital space. So now, in the realm of cybersecurity, there is a traffic. You know, like down here, we have human beings who work with drive cars, some drive bicycles, some have cars. And in the digital space, what we travel basically is known as IP addresses. As we begin to delve into cybersecurity, you will begin to know a lot more about IP addresses. Then now at the gate, probably at the gate of your house or at the gate of the estate, when you ask them, when you get they ask the people who want to access all these things, they ask them questions. Who are you? Who are you looking for? That's the same way in cybersecurity, in organization, in the digital spaces. You have your username. I'm sure that a lot of you have come across usernames. A lot of you have email addresses, and probably when you sometimes you want to log into some certain websites, they ask you for your email address, you put it, or they ask you for your username, you put it, and they now ask you for your password. And if your password rhymes with what they have stored for that account, which you want to access the network with, if it rhymes, the door opens for you. Voila, you're into the digital space. You know, so that's I don't know. I hope my explanation is quite clear. So cybersecurity is the practice of protecting systems, network programs from digital attacks. You know, just like we have doors in houses, gates, the same way, that's the same way we have it in digital spaces. So this involves safeguarding information from unauthorized access. The same way you don't want someone you don't want to come to your house. That's the same way it works in a digital spaces. And because when you have unauthorized access, it's usually very expensive because some of these guys have malicious intentions. They are hackers and they might have the motive to defraud, to disrupt the effective running of your network devices and to cause all forms of destructions which nobody wants. Now, the core objective in cybersecurity, anytime we start talking about cybersecurity, is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So now, when we say confidentiality, we mean that information is accessible to only those that are authorized, to only the people that need to access it. That's confidentiality. I give you an example. You have your email. your email is confidential to you. And I believe that you are the only person who is authorized to access your email. Now, once somebody else accesses your email, there is a breach of confidentiality because the person now has access to some very vital and personal information about you, which you don't want somebody else to know. That's the same way in these times we have banks. I'm sure a lot of us have accounts with banks, so you wouldn't want somebody to know what's in your bank account, or you wouldn't want your personal information, even in the hospitals, to be disclosed to some other person. So that's the meaning of confidentiality. The only people who need to know have this information. The information is released to them. Then we have integrity. That is maintaining this. When we talk about integrity, it means that the information is accurate. Like when some hackers get into some websites and they mess some websites up, or they penetrate into some database and mess the information up, automatically there is a breach. Then that means that the information contained in all these places is not accurate, it's corrupt. Then availability means that information has to be accessible as when needed. And this is very important in places like hospitals. So now, further, let's go. So why? Well, for the better part of my talking, I've kind of like explained why this is important, because in these present days and times, businesses are mostly online, and a lot of billions of devices are connected. Coming to think of it, imagine, I believe a lot of us have phones. You know, your phone is connected to the internet. Imagine the things you do with your phone. Then imagine you being without your phone, or you don't have connectivity. you know think about it. What will your day be like, just one day without your phone? Not just because you want to play game on the phone, but because you need to conduct business with your phones, because right now a lot of business are conducted with their phones, even education. So even what we are doing now, so if we don't have internet services, I wouldn't be able to be talking to you about cybersecurity from one end part of the world. You know so you see that our lives are all intertwined. It's now become an intricate space. So our personalized businesses, even governments, are deeply reliant, intertwined with technology every day. Now, if you go online or you're listening to podcasts every day, you'll find out that it's it's so sensitive these days. The security of organizations, big time organizations, is so sensitive these days that um, it can really compromise. I give you an example. There's this podcast that I listen to a lot of times, cyber daily news. There's on cyber daily news. It kind of like gives you the cyber events, the events that happen every day in the world. And if you're listening to this podcast for like 1 week, you will get to hear of security breaches and incidents that happen on a daily basis. And mostly the people that kind of like are held to account to perpetuate cyber crimes are like China, Iran, Russia. Now, let's begin to think of the economic impact of these things happen, because sometimes when it happens, you might kind of like dismiss it. Now, this is what really happens. Why the Chinese do this. Now, you have tech giants in Europe, in the US. So now this is what happens. What the Chinese do. It's called industrial espionage. What they do is like they hack into these big time multinationals, tech technology multinational access their secrets, technological secrets. Now, when they assess it and they get this information, then they now use this information and probably, let's say, like it's one big company like Ford, and Ford has a prototype design that they are working on for cars that they will release in 2027, or even Apple. They have a prototype designs of phones they want to release in 2027. Then one company in China employs hackers. They now hack into these big organizations and steal their industrial secrets. And a month or two, 3 months later, they steal this. They now see, these guys now see the prototype vehicle that they are working on. They now see it on the road. 6 months down the line, after the information has been stolen, they now see it down the line. Same way goes with phones. Same goes with music. Because there have been reported cases of musicians who have in their kitty, their personal songs they are working on that they intend to release maybe in the next 6 months, 1 year. And in 1 month or so, the next thing they hear that same song being played on the radio somewhere. And they are like, how did this is my song. I've been working on this thing for months. How did they get hold of it? So now this is why cybersecurity, I'm just trying to narrate to you the economic impact of cybersecurity, apart from when they hack banks and they get people's details and they use it to defraud them. On a high scale, industrial espionage, this is what happened. We are not talking about the cyber warfare that exists between countries now. Like if you watch out the Russian-Ukraine war, yes, they do use human beings to perpetuate this war, but you find out that they've taken these things to another level now. Apart from human beings, they now use drones, and they fly these drones with bombs in them and no human being there. So, and there is somebody somewhere operating this drone who flies this drone into probably Russia or Ukraine and drop a bomb. So that's the way it works. And you know what? Sometimes the one who has an upper hand in technology, when these drones are coming, if you have the technology, what do? You jam the signals of the drone. When you jam the signals of the drone, you incapacitate it in such a way that it can no longer function. And maybe you divert it somewhere else, to go and drop the bombs. And that's the way you save yourself. So right now is who has the greater power in technology that rules. And you need cybersecurity. And meanwhile, it's cybersecurity experts. Sometimes they know how to mess with these things. Let's like a drone is coming in, and you penetrate, because every drone is being operated from a headquarters, and there is somebody doing that, and you can infiltrate that system, and decapacitate those drones from functioning. So it's just a question of who has the superior power in that field. So without sensitive information, without cybersecurity, sensitive information can be exposed, just like I have already explained. And cybersecurity ensures trust in the system, and not only in the system, in countries now. That's why countries like United States are they pay good for cybersecurity analysts, and most especially, not only US, most modern day Western countries. So I cannot begin to emphasize the importance of digital cybersecurity experts. Now, there are diverse sectors in cybersecurity. It's different areas of specializations and roles. So we have application security. That is security that has to do with your apps, softwares. For example, I take on Yahoo Mail, and the thing is, like, a lot of companies now have applications, and you have to think of the security of these applications, because it doesn't really make sense that you have an app with no security, that everybody keeps jamming into the security automatically. If your app gets to be known as an application whose security is lap, I mean, it wouldn't sell. We have network security, just like I've been explaining. We have cloud security. Now, that's a big part. And when we talk about a cloud, we are talking about Microsoft Azure, AWS, IBM, Alibaba, Google, all these guys. And we have a whole lot of other cloud service providers. So that's a big area. And let me tell you what, cloud it's the re is the is the in thing now. Everybody's going to the cloud because a lot of these resources you don't need to provision for them remotely or physically because it's very expensive. But where you can provision them in the cloud because it's usually pay as you go on demand. You know, the more you use is what you pay for. But the problem with the cloud is that the security is not as good as when it is hosted in remotely in your offices. So that's the problem. So cloud security is a huge place. Then incident response. Anytime there is an attack, who responds to it? Like anytime the security of nations or countries are being breached, soldiers respond to it. So anytime there is a security breach in an organization, some guys respond to it. Some security soldiers respond to it. So that's why every organization needs it. Because if your security will be breached, it will be breached. It's just a question of time because even the big corporations, it might just surprise you how lax the security of these big corporations are. We have digital forensics, like investigative team, the CID, the CIA of cybersecurity experts. We have Internet of Things security. Now, Internet of Things security is very, very important. That's another important aspect. And somebody might ask me, what is Internet of Things security? I'll give you one. Recently, 2 years ago, Land Rover cars in the UK was like the insurance shot up through the roof. And we were like, what's happening? They said because the security of the Land Rover cars is lapsed. And Land Rover cars were being stolen like this. Every week we had a large number of cars being stolen. Land Rover cars. So how were they going to get it stolen? There was a security flaw in the Land Rover cars. So these thieves knew it, and it just cost like 10-20 pounds over eBay to buy the device to disable the security system in the Land Rover car and steal them. So insurance companies were losing a lot of money. So and because of that, there was also a decline in the sales of Land Rover. So now, if you are Land Rover, what will you do? You know, so that's to tell you, like, you need security for Internet of Things, no matter how lapsed it is. Your television is an Internet of Things. You have a lot of Internet of Things devices. Even the drone that I've talked about is also an Internet of Things. So they all need security. Then we have threat intelligence. That's another big area. Then we have emerging fields of artificial intelligence security. Artificial intelligence is a good one. And we also need security there. We have blockchain security. Right now, the blockchain guys, they boast like they have one of the best security system now. Now, we have the quantum computing, which is another big place. If you listen to tech news, they will also need security. So job prospect past the future, past, present, and future, just like I have said. Now imagine tech, we keep growing. Tech, we keep growing. Everything we get into, we get tech. We get into technology. Just think about it. But as tech grows, we need security. So you just think about it. How fast we've come this past 10 years. Cybersecurity 10 years ago was not cybersecurity today. And if you listen to the news, big corporations are getting hacked every day. So they need, even I think 2 weeks ago, there was also a security incident with a big firm in the UK here. So you see, we all need security. Cybersecurity experts, they are needed. So it's a very good field. If you have a mind, I encourage you, come in, man. It's a very good place. So we have over 3.5 million on-field cybersecurity positions worldwide. The US is a big market. So projecting the next 10 years, security will just be it. I'm telling you, security will just be it. And there'll be more types of security coming out. Because even email, if you're talking about email, that one is another role, another specialty. And another thing I've not really mentioned here is that there are guys that write security policies, and security policies, security procedures, and they also implement it. If you have a law background, that's a very good place to be in. And there are diverse roles across industries, just like I have really explained. So, but 5 popular entry level security levels roles I've talked about is like security analyst and security operations center analyst. These two roles look same, sound same, but they are not same. We have the junior pen testers. Junior pen testers is like, let me explain that a little bit. It's like Microsoft, Google, Facebook's, they run a scheme whereby they call it bounty hunting, whereby they tell you, hey, um, if you can hack us, we'll pay you $5,000. If you can find any flaw in our system, we'll pay you $10,000. Or depending on how serious the flaw is, that is how we'll pay you. We might pay you $1,000. And I'm telling you, there are guys that make money from this. There are guys that make money from it. So pen testing is just testing how the security feature, how strong the security feature of an organization or an app is, so, and there are ones whereby they give you permissions to hack them, to test them. Some will tell you, hey, this is how we are. We have, this is the size of our companies. We have this account, we have that. And can you hack us? They give you information and they tell you, can you hack us? Some will tell you, some will not give you information at all, like the bounty hunter I've just said. Or through the web that it happens. There's what we call physical pen testers. Oh, my internet connection. I hope it's working. They're what we call physical pen testers. These physical pen testers, what they do is like they try to break into organizations physically. Maybe they try to beat the system. There are guards on duty at the gate or at the reception. They try to beat their security and maybe get into a sensitive part of the building. And of course, before they do this, they'll always have an authorization because you cannot start hacking people, these companies, just like that. You need a paper because if you are caught, prison, you probably you go to jail for that. So it's a sensitive place. But I just wanted to say there are physical pen testers. So it's not just online. And there are people whose job is not to actually physical test, but they kind of like they see if they can hack these companies through phone call. I say, hey, they just fake. I am so and so this. I have an account with you, and I can't seem to get into this account. Please, can you help me? So they just test the security system of, to test how alert the employees of these organizations are security wise. So we have the IT support specialists, security focus. Then we have the governance, risk, and compliance, which is the legal aspect of this whole thing, because we have standards. We have standards, organizational standards that have been laid out by organizations over the world who monitor all these things. Like we have the GDPR for Europe, you know, We have HIPAA for US. These are industry standards. They lay the rules and say, if you have to do this, you have to do this like this, in this way, and periodically they come around to see if you are compliant. And anytime their system gets breached, if you don't report it to them, that's a big problem, because the organization could also get fined, for that breach. And just like let's say like you have an account with a bank and there was a breach and your information went out there, got released to a hacker, and these people don't inform you, you could actually take them to court or report them and tell them this and this happened, and these companies we take it into action, to make sure that these companies comply. And meanwhile, you could also get employed and your job will just be that, look, make sure that we are compliant to every rule that is out there. Make sure that we are compliant. And my dear, there are so many different types of compliance and standards out there. The banks have their own, credit card have their own, the health industries have their own, according to regions, according to continents, and according to countries. Even the stock markets have their own, insurance have their own, hospitals have their own. There are rules everywhere, and these things you have to abide by them. So now, the talking about how much your pay is it. So it's a little bit difficult for me to start. Probably I'll start going through all the salary scale in all these countries. But if you look at the screen, you find out that it's good money, it's good salary. Even a security analyst, when you talk of US, UK, Nigeria, Australia, just talk about it, Japan, it's good money. And the funny thing is, like, you can be in Nigeria and get employed by a firm organization in the US. Yeah. So there's sometimes in some of these things, there is no geographical limitation. Your geolocation, it doesn't really limit you. You could gain employment all over the world. You could be in UK here, you'll be working for a company in Saudi Arabia. I remember last year, a firm in Dubai, they approached me. They called me actually and asked me, hey, we are based here, can you work with us? So that's the way it is. It's a global village, so you can work anywhere. So breaking into cyber security, becoming cyber security profession. So yeah, how can I do
No
it?
worries.
Hello.
No worries.
Yeah, so how can I do it? Now I'll just breeze through this. So you need technical skills, definitely, but I want to also tell you that if you don't have IT skills or technical skills at all, you know, let it not deter you, because these days, like the governance and compliance I talked about, you don't really need to be technical to do that aspect of cybersecurity. Because there are people in cybersecurity that have not written a code one day. You don't need to know programming skills, to even to do cybersecurity, even as a SOC analyst, But don't get me wrong, it might help, because you really need to know some programming skills, but it's not as if it's essential, depending on what you want to do. But if you want to be a pen tester, you know, you need to know a little bit of programming, but it's not as if that there is a hard rule about it, because you can start learning. A little drops of water makes a mighty ocean. Then you need to be up and doing, because it's an ever evolving field. Technology is always evolving. Things are always developing. So getting into this tech field, you need to be ready to upskill yourself at all time, to personally develop yourself. Me, I'm always learning. I know I've been in this field for now for like 3 4 years. I'm always learning. If you ask my wife and children, I'm always on my system. I'm always learning one thing or the other, and because you just need it. You need to know how to think, problem solving skills. How do I solve problems? You need critical thinking skills, and you also have an eye for details. Like, you need to know how to be focused, and it's something you can learn. That's what I'm just trying to tell you. Not that I'm saying this and you just run away, because you have to start from somewhere. Yeah. What I know today, I didn't know it overnight, because sometimes I'm even amazed when I begin to talk about these things. Continuous learning, and do you know why continuous learning is very important in this thing? Because there is always threats are always evolving. There's what we call 0 day in cybersecurity. 0 day in cybersecurity means a new threat that nobody knows about, that has not been discovered about. So that's what we call 0 day threats. And believe you me, every day there is zero threat. And besides, you see this computer programming, there's nobody that is perfect. We are all human beings. So anytime we write software programs or app programs, we are bound to make mistakes. There's bound to always be a loophole. And there are guys that are dedicated to making loopholes. And we always have softwares written every day. Okay, like we are in 2025. I don't play FIFA game. The FIFA game of 2026, I'm telling you, guys are already working on it now. Guys are already working on the FIFA game 2026. Now, begin to think of how many games all over the world. The one for 2026, guys are working on it. And they are already writing the software program. And I'm telling you, definitely there will be some mistakes. And you need to see the team, the people that write this thing. It's not one person that is writing it. There are loads of people writing all these things, so I'm just trying to tell you. Then you need to listen to podcasts, like I've mentioned, there are a lot of podcasts. Then attending to security and IT conferences, just like you're doing today. And I know that after today, when you talk about security, it will change. You know some things, you're not just a layman. And if you come back tomorrow, you'll learn another thing. And the more it's just like blocks. You keep building, you keep knowing more and more and more. Yeah, educational pathways. You don't really need a degree to do cybersecurity. You don't need a degree now. In fact, in the US, they passed a law. The US federal government, removed the criteria, the degree, 4-year degree criteria to secure cybersecurity jobs. They removed it. So you don't need a university degree, but you need to be knowledged, you need to be experienced, and you need to learn. So you need to be ready to put in the time to do this. And like boot camps like you're experiencing today, it's very, very good. And I'll tell you that BlueSky Citadel, one of the best places you can be. They are very direct, the approach. They teach you on the job, because when you do these things and you go out there, you're looking for a job. It's what do you know? What can you do? Like I say, hands-on, what can you do? What do you know? And it's not everybody that teaches you this thing hands-on. You need to get your hands dirty. They will tell you, oh yeah, come, what do you know? What can you say? I'm telling you. So, but you need to demonstrate that you know it. It's not the degree that you have, or it's not the certification that you have. Let's like, even in this cybersecurity, they said, do you know that guys graduate from the university and they will go and sit for certifications? Because if they have their degree without certification, it's like nothing, and they don't know how to do things. You that have experience, you can put one or two things together. You'll be recognized much better than somebody who has a 4-year degree or even a master's degree. It is you that they will look at, because you know what to do. Because the question is, anytime there is an attack, there is a hack, what can you do? So that's the question there. So you have internship and entry-level positions, which is like BlueSky Citadel offers, which is what I did. I did my first 3 months, did my 6 months, and I'm still with BlueSky Citadel, even as a mentor now. So, and yeah, you need to gain experience. Everybody here, even Pat, maybe you've met her. she's also learning. When we sit down with Pat and we are doing labs, hands-on labs, Pat will even say, this one, I don't know it, but I'm going to learn it. And she will come back and she teaches us. And sometimes she say, I learned a new thing today. She will bring us, sit us down, and she now teaches us. So this is where you are today. And I'm sure, and I tell you that in the next 3-6 months, you will not be the same again. So portfolio development, anything you do, document it. If they say study logs, when you're studying it, document it. Do research. We have AI, we have Google. Ask questions. Go out there. Look for ways to do things, and you come back. If you're told to do this, you do it. And document, keep a portfolio, get onto LinkedIn. As you're learning, put it on LinkedIn, put it on social media. I am doing this today. I am with BlueSky Citadel today. I did a short course on cybersecurity. I learned this, I learned that. Write it. Make a post, put it on Facebook, put it on LinkedIn, because there are people that look at these things. There are people that you could get hired because of these things. So create a portfolio, social media, and have a blog if possible. Do videos on YouTube. You can start talk, and you know that what? The more you teach, the more you talk about something, the more you are braced with it. Then as you're doing it, you're also preparing yourself for interview. And here at BlueSky, we'll prepare you for interview. We'll teach you the ropes, teach you what to do, how to set up your CV, your email, and how to upload it, everything that you need to do, and there are a whole lot of resources. So now, that's it. Then getting into the SOC analyst role. Yeah, we've spent about an hour. It's close to 9 o'clock. So, and now let's talk about SOC analyst role. Who are they and what do they do? Simply put, just as you see on the screen, they are professionals, responsible for the security of an organization. They are the first line of defense. That's what we call the SOC analyst, first line of defense. So their role entails monitoring the security posture of an organization, traffic, monitoring, detecting incidents, events, responding to incidents, then mitigating the incidents. And sometimes, depending on the level you are, you might be a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. If you're tier 1, that is entry level. So when you detect and respond, you need to escalate. You can respond to threats by escalating it to someone higher than you, to your security boss, to your manager, and they will now mitigate. Then after the whole thing, you now review what happened, how did it happen, what did it affect, how was it handled, how long did it take to handle it, and what can we do to stop this thing from happening again. And you make a report. Now, the essence why we do this is because documentation is very, very important. And when you document, there is also a body that out there that you also need to tell them, hey, we had this experience today. Maybe it's a 0-day experience that is new. A lot of cybersecurity professionals are not yet aware. We say, hey, we had this today, and this happened, and this is what happened, and this is how we dealt with it. Just to make you aware, because it might be coming your way soon. And that's the way we thrive in cybersecurity world. We share information. It's called threat intelligence. We share information. So, SOC analysts, they play a very crucial role in safeguarding of systems. When we're talking of safeguarding of systems, we are talking about your account, the company cyber account. Now let me break it down a little bit here. You know, some companies have like UBA, it's a banking organizations, and to tell you that every UBA staff, everybody who works in UBA staff, they have an account, a system account. And when I mean by a system account, they have a username, maybe an email and password with which they log into the UBA network. So those things that they have, we call it account. So if there are 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 UBA staff, it means that there are 30,000 accounts with which they log into the UBA network. Now, imagine, how do you protect 30,000 accounts? Some organizations have like 50,000 workers and they all have accounts. Then now, we're not only talking about the staff accounts, what of the people that bank with them? If you bank with UBA, definitely you have an account. You have a login account, email, password. There are people working around the clock, making sure that there is no breach. So that's when we say safeguarding of systems, networks, this is what we mean. This is exactly what we mean. And not only that, you have to safeguard the data that is in it. Then we now have the SOC analyst. They analyze security events. Maybe you try to log into an account and maybe you use the wrong password, typo error, and it bounced you out. Then you try logging in 3 times. What happens? It freezes it for the next 30 minutes or 30 seconds, a minute. All those things are things that have been put in place to make sure that that account does not get breached. Investigating incidents and implementing defense strategies. This is a work of a SOC analyst. So we often work with tools like Wireshark. Now, Wireshark we use it to trace network, packets, data. You know, where did they come from? Which IP did they come from? Where did they go through to? What information did they carry? You know, which type of protocol was used? You know, was it a safe one? Was it an encrypted one? Or was it one that was exposed? You know, this is what we used to do investigation. Then we have the SIEM, you know, security information event management system. Well, that's a long one. You know, I might not have time, might not permit me to break it down here. Then we now have logs, which is what I'm really interested in talking about a little about today. Then we have threat intelligence platforms like Virus Total, which you will come to know later as we progress into the course. So into the course, you know, these are all to help us identify malicious activities and vulnerabilities. When we talk about vulnerabilities, we mean weaknesses in the system, you know, because that's a cybersecurity terminology. So moving forward, now logs, the log tools. You know, so logs, what is a log? So logs are records of events, activities, transactions generated by the system's application and devices. I'll give you a little explanation of what logs are. Now, anytime you try to log into your system, the network takes a record of how you try to log in. What name, email did you try to log in? Where did you try to log in from? That's the geolocation. What IP address did you use? Sometimes, what service provider? If it's an email you try to use, what service provider? Is it Google? Is it Microsoft? Is it Alibaba? How? Then what time did you try to do that? Then they now think, which application, which system did you try to log into? Sometimes it could even tell the ports, the protocol, and also the devices with which you try to log into. So these things are recorded by every device and every system. Even your phone has logs. When you try to log in, your phone has logs. That is why if somebody wants to get a detailed information, like you remember there was a time we were talking about Google, that Google is monitoring people. When they say Google is monitoring people, think about it. How do they do it? It's simple. The logs on your phone, the activities you do on your phone, the websites that you go to, what you do, how long you spend on those websites, all those information are captured as logs. And that is actually what we actually use as SOC analysts to monitor services and the user's actions. And it's also what we use to protect, because when we know a particular IP address that is trying to gain entry into our organization or network, an IP address that we don't recognize, an IP address of an email from a location that we don't even recognize, that we don't even give our services to. So it becomes very questionable. So what do? We just block that IP address straight. That's what SOC analysts do. So they capture important details such as timestamps, user actions, like what I've told you, the websites that you go to, the errors, your login failures. Anytime the application fails, probably you tried to set up the application, it failed. And sometimes, I know a lot of us have had these experiences. Probably you're working on your laptop or your phone and the application fails. And then now something now pops up on your screen and tells you, we want to report this event to so and so place. Do you agree? Do you accept? Sometimes you say no. Sometimes you say yes. Now, do you know the reason why they do that? The reason why they do that, they want to know what happened. Why did our app fail? What did the user do that made our app fail? Or is it from our own side? Did we write a program that is wrong? So when you click yes and it goes to them, it helps them build that application better the next time. Or when they notice that a lot of people are having that problem, they now automatically they go in and they rewrite the particular program. Maybe it's a bug, because anytime there is a fault in programs, software programs are written, it is called a bug. So they now set in and say, okay, let us initiate a debugging system. Let us debug this issue and correct this mistake in our applications, that in the software program that we have written. So that's what it's all about. So logs are very crucial for troubleshooting issues and monitoring security threats, because that's the way we know who has done what and where they are doing it from, because that's just one of the basic tool, logs. So security work logs track network traffic, authentication attempts. Authentication means password, how they verify that you are the correct person who owns the account that want to log into the account. That's when we say authentication attempts. It's just verification. How many times are you the correct person, or did somebody try to log into account with a false email? So all those things are recorded. Whatsoever you do is recorded. Just have that. just have it in your mind. Potential security incidents. Incident response, helping professionals trace the origins of an attack. So the logs is just like an audit system. Every device has it, like I have said, I've told you. Your computer has it, and there are different types of logs. There are system logs, there are security logs that capture authentication, your email, your username, how many times you tried to log in, When you change your password, it is recorded. If you change your email, it is recorded. So did you succeed? The time you tried to log in, how many times you failed, and they blocked it. So these are authentication. Then we have application logs, that helps developers, that helps programmers write better software applications. We have system logs for computers. There's like your CPU you're using your computer now, your CPU memory, the usage of it, the amount of okay, let me give you this analogy now. Like over here in the UK, if you want to take a new phone and you want to buy subscription, let's like you've ordered a phone and you want internet data, and you tell them, okay, I want data. They'll ask you how many gigs. Probably you say 50 gigs. Then the guy will now tell you, oh, wait. Let me go and see your usage pattern and see if you actually need that 50 gigs. Then he now goes back and checks your usage pattern and comes and tells you, oh, I've seen that you don't even use up to 50 gigs. So if you buy 50 gigs, you'll be wasting your money. Or the guy tells you you need more than 50 gigs. You actually use 100 gig every month. My question is, how did they know that? It's all logs. So that will tell you that everything you do, they know. It is logged. Sometimes they tell you, I think you need more data because I see you go to YouTube a lot. Yeah, it is written. They have the logs. They tell you, I see you go to YouTube. I see you go to Facebook. I see you always posting content. That much they can tell you. I see you always posting content. They say, are you a content? If you're always going to YouTube, always posting content, 50 gigs is too small for you. Why don't you take 100 gigs? Why don't you take unlimited gigs? You see, they're now using the information they took from your phone via logs to sell services to you. That is why logs are very important for them. Network logs, your router, your router has a system that takes audit account of traffic that passes through it, and firewall also has logs. Just name it. We have audit logs, and in times like if you go to an organization now, there are people in organization that misuse the network services of the organizations. And sometimes, how do they know? They go to websites that they shouldn't go to. Logs. They'll come and meet you and tell you, hey, we have seen that you go to so and so websites. Do you know that it contains malicious instruments that could damage the network or that could breach the security protocol of our organization? And then if you're not careful, they now sanction you. How do they know all those things? Logs. So logs, it's very important in the cybersecurity world and to a security to a SOC analyst. So the key elements used for identification in logs: IP addresses, which indicate the source, not only the source of network activity, it also indicates the source and destination where you are going to, for tracing, useful for tracing user actions. Then usernames and account IDs, just like I've told you, account IDs can be numbers, usernames can be name, it could be your email. All these things are contained. That's how they get to know that when they approach you, they say you did this, and you say, how and when did I do it? And you try to deny. They say no, because this is your login. They say, but I didn't use it, I didn't do it. Then they say, okay, somebody must have gotten hold of your login. Who else uses your login if you say it's not you? Yes. That's how they get to know some of these things. And sometimes impossible travel. Maybe you are in Lagos and somebody now used your account, and you now tell them, I'm not the one who did it. And they say, how did you? They say, but you did it. They say, I didn't do it because I was in Lagos. And they now go and they now so see that actually the account logged in the US. Now that's in cybersecurity we call that impossible travel. So then say, you are in Lagos, then the account logged in the US. Did you give your account details to somebody? You say no. That's how they now come. Okay, you didn't actually do it. Somebody in US do it and say, okay, we'll now block this particular thing, and they say, okay, consider another account ID. These are part of the thing. Then MAC addresses. MAC addresses is very unique because, just in case you don't know, every system in the world, every electronic device has a unique MAC address. I don't think any device is allowed to have the same MAC address. So it's a unique identifier, because that's how come. Let's like in a party. Let me explain to you how the MAC addresses work. If we are in a particular household, like my house, and we have a router that helps us connect to the internet, every device that is connected to the router has one internet address. That has one IP address. Sorry. So anytime we communicate with someone in the internet and the person wants to communicate back to us, so since I've told you that we might have 10 devices in our house, and we now communicate with one person outside, let's say like me, one person, I communicate with somebody outside. And when the person now communicates, it will communicate to one IP address alone. But under that one IP address, we have 10 people sharing that one IP address. So when the information is coming back to me, when it gets to my router will now say, wait a minute, who owns this particular information? Now, it is the MAC address, because the 10 devices connected to the router has 10 different MAC addresses. So the router will use my MAC address to identify me specifically. Say, hey, this message is for you, and the message will come to my door specifically and stay there. So that's how it works. In as much as, and well, there is another thing, and we also call a private IP address, because when you're connecting to the internet, you use a public IP to do that. So it's like, for some organizations, some household, is one public IP address that communicates. But when the communication is coming back, it gets to the router. The router will now use your MAC address of your device to pinpoint that, hey, this message now is specifically for you, because you asked this question. We are responding to you specifically. So that's the use of MAC addresses in logs. It helps identify specific devices. We have session ID, timestamps. Timestamps just talk about the time message left and it came back. Then we have process IDs and command. We have email addresses, because in logs, your email addresses, your account ID is also there. Then we have the geolocation data. Lagos, America, this IP address that communicated with this device, where is this IP address located? And yeah, because we have a geolocation data in the internet. Let's like there was a time at the beginning of the course I was talking about a particular for Nigeria, or like an estate, you have an IP address. So there the world is divided in geolocations. Geolocation. So a certain group of IPs can come out from a particular location, but because we have IP addresses, and you could have two IP addresses, one in Africa, one in Asia. But how do you tell this IP address is coming from Asia, this IP address is coming from Africa? Because not only the IP addresses that stand, there is some other informations that is also attached to that IP address. That's how come you can now say, this IP address is coming from Africa, this one is coming from Asia, even though they might be the same number. So, hands-on, this I've come to the end. I hope, I don't know, my intention is like, I hope you all understood one or two things in this lecture. The much I have talked, but here now, I want us to play a little game, so I'll just explain this game briefly. So my name's Mark Lightning Peace. I'm 35 years old and currently enrolled at BlueSky Citadel College with a Google Mail account. Can you try and hack my account? That's the website there. Now, notice this. The reason why I'm doing this, I want you to think like a hacker. How do people make from emails? That's why I'm asking. So how do people form emails? A lot of time people use their names to form emails, and probably they could attach some numbers. Some people can attach some numbers, and some people might not attach some numbers. And the password, a lot of time people use funny things to make password, because password is another big one. I was thinking of talking about passwords today. So, but I decided, okay, let me just do something introductory. Yeah, maybe the next time. Hello? Maybe the next time I would delve into passwords, and talk about how we can strengthen our security postures about password, but I didn't really want to kind of stretch today's lecture and make it get everybody tired. So, but I'm 35 years old. A lot of time people use their birthdays to concoct passwords, and that's a very, very bad habit. A very bad habit, because you have to make your password in such a way that it's not easily guessed. But this Mark Lightning Peace has opened an account in this place, and he's not so security conscious, and he has done something to go ahead to use his maybe birthday to come and concoct some password. He used his name with some part of his name with birthday to do some password, So, yeah. So, can you try and hack the account of this Mark Lightning Peace? And there's some information there he's giving to you. So, I just want us to really crack our brains. Can somebody, and before we do that, can somebody talk about how he thinks he can go about this? Anybody?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
These days, you have a lot of people putting their details on LinkedIn. So most of the time, you can check on LinkedIn and get details about people. And if this kind of person has an account on LinkedIn and has put some information, you can check to find out about him. Again, people put on social media some details. Sometimes some people put unnecessary information. So on social media, you can get some information whereby one can try to either do brute force hacking or do phishing, and then eventually get whatever you want to do to hack the person.
Okay. Adedotu, you are talking like somebody who knows one or two things. Yeah. You're talking like somebody who knows one or two things. But with the information you have here now on the screen, can you kind of like come up with an email account? Anybody?
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. markpeace35@gmail.com.
Mark
Peace35.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's a good one. Yeah. Any other person? Hello?
Lightning Peace, maybe lightning35@gmail.com.
Okay. Lightning35@gmail.com. That's good. Any other person?
lightningpeace35@gmail.com.
Okay, lightningpeace@35@gmail.com. That is the closest person. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Mark Lightning.
Hello, good evening.
Yes.
Yeah, Mark Lightning .peace@ Google. Sorry. Let me start again. marklightning.peace@gmail.com.
Okay. All right. That's fantastic. Okay. Any go at password?
$19.91.
1991. Okay. Just the numbers. Okay. This is what I want you guys to do now. Go to this website and concord with this information you have here. Try and get an account and a password and try and get into this the account in this organization. You know, how many of us have on our laptops?
1 second, Lightning. I dropped a URL in the chat that they can use.
Okay. Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Okay. Which chat? WhatsApp, Telegram? Hello, ma.
The Zoom chat.
Okay, the Zoom chat. Okay.
Which of them I click on? Is it start as the mentee or join as a mentor?
No, go to the Zoom chat and click on the ones on the Zoom chat. She said she had dropped one on the Zoom chat.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah. Good evening.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Can I say something, or let me allow you to go ahead, please?
Yeah, say something, please.
Yeah. What she said concerning the message she dropped, I don't think one will be able to click on it because it's not highlighted.
Okay.
Because it's www.mentorski.com. You can't click on it because it's not highlighted.
Yes, you can. I've just done that.
But I clicked on it, not working on my own anyway.
Oh, okay.
It's supposed to be highlighted, then you'll be able to click on it automatically.
It's actually working from my end.
It worked for me too.
Yeah, it works for me.
I need to refresh.
Copy it. Try and copy it and then paste in your browser.
Okay, that's fine. I'll definitely do that. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, now I must say, you might not be able to use this information on the screen to log into the account anymore. I don't know. Pat, Pat, can they use the information on the screen to log into the account?
What information? Your own.
Yeah. The one on the screen.
They can use their own information. Anything they can use anything.
Okay. Yeah. You don't use the information on the screen. Use any of information to log in. It doesn't matter if you don't it doesn't matter if you're not able to log in or you are able to log in. You know, there is a purpose to which this exercise is being carried out. It's also kind of like to inform you, give you a further information or education on how things work as a security, as a SOC analyst, you know, what the role is like, you know, and what you encounter on the job. When you do the job, what you really come across, because it's a job. When you do it, you have to deal, one of the jobs is like you have to deal with a lot of logs, and you just have to get used to logs. You know, because you just have to get used to logs. You just have to get used to studying logs and reading logs and how to interpret logs, you know, because that's the main skill as a SOC analyst. One of the main skills you need to do. Though that when you're interpreting logs, there is a system to it, and there are also tools that will help you decipher a lot of things you will come across, you will see on logs, because you need to be able to identify when are you being under an attack, because it's your skill on how to read logs that will tell you, look, you're being under an attack, you're under a brute force attack, because there are things you need to look out for, and that comes with your skill in interpreting logs. And the essence of the exercise to also tell you, to inform you that, how activities are recorded in organizations and by the system. Has everybody tried to log in?
I logged in as a mentee. I registered and I logged in.
Okay. Okay, you use the correct password to log in.
Yes, I registered and then I create an account.
Okay, you registered, you created an account, and you logged in. Oh, that's fantastic. That's good.
We're supposed to create an account with that information that marked lightning, or we can use any.
No, you can use your own information to create one, please. Yeah.
Okay.
You can just play with it. You can log out and log back in again and use a wrong password intentionally, Now that if you've created an account successfully, you can log out and try to log back in, and try to log back in with the wrong password 3 or 4 times. Because even in recent times, even when you watch movie like Netflix or these streaming medias online, they all have logs. Anytime you log into Netflix, it is logged. When you watch a movie, it is logged. When you watch an action movie, it is logged. When you watch an action movie 2-3 times, it is logged. That's why the more movies you watch, a particular genre of movies you watch, the next time you try to log in, Netflix will start suggesting to you that same type of music, the movies you just watched. If it's you like a movie that is martial arts based, you log in once, you watch one, you log in the second time, you watch one, another one. The next time you log in, Netflix will suggest to you a action movie based on martial arts. How come did they do that? It's all logs. When we talk about AI, how do they interpret you, interpret your movement? How could they interpret your behavior, your character? When we talk about machine learning, how can they do this? Logs. Because there is a log about you in everything you do, in all these things. Even when you shop online, probably you go on Alibaba or you go on eBay, Amazon. Each time you log in, they have log. Each time you buy something, there is a log. And you find out that when you keep buying one thing or the other, less like in the same, probably you start buying a particular beauty product. Before you know it, the system will start suggesting to you the type of beauty products in that line. How do they do their system do that? Logs. Because they have a log on your character, on whatsoever you do. Even in security applications, there are some security applications that study you. Like you have a security application. There's a word that we normally call those security applications. It studies your character. He studies the way you browse, the way you operate your systems, the time you log in, the time you log out, and the things you do. So when this security feature studies you, then after probably studies you like for a week, 2-3 days, 1 week, 2 weeks, as the case may be, then once they get a pattern, your pattern, they now lock it in their system. So anybody that comes with a pattern not like your pattern that they've observed from you, the system will just shut or lock you out straight. When the person tries to browse or to get into access into your system, or the person has gained access, or probably you left your system open and the person starts operating your system, once they just notice a pattern that is not your pattern that they have recorded over time, it will just lock the person out immediately. Or maybe one day you start developing a new pattern that is different from that which they have stored concerning you. Immediately it locks you out. This is all possible by logs, because that's what they use, that is being used to study you very well. Madam Part. Madam Part.
Oh, Lightning, I'm here. Pat is here. So, how many people have actually tried to log in with like username, just something random, and password, like a random password that will not actually log you in? Because I've only seen one activity here,
Oh.
and that's what I have done. It's showing, yeah.
Is it not? Can we just log in and log out and just try another random password?
Yes, yeah. You need to do that.
Okay.
That's what we're trying to, yeah. That's what we're trying to achieve here. So, if you can.
Okay. But the issue I'm having, I think I can see the log out, then logging back again. I'm looking for the icon, to log out.
In IT, we have the back end and the front end.
Yep.
Yeah, so what we are basically doing now is front end. The front end of everything. The front end is the nice bit that everybody sees. But there is also a back end that nobody sees.
I actually can't see the logout
I
button.
can't see the log out.
You can't see a logout button. If you look very well, you will say it. Maybe
So
is the color. Because I also had when I was that's mentor skid. It's not.
Yeah.
It's at the corner down at the right side of the screen. The same side as your name.
Okay. So just click the sign button.
There's an arrow at the end, the right side.
Okay.
Black sign out.
Yeah, I've seen it. Okay. Yeah, so I've got an error message.
Okay, that's nice.
Okay, try like a couple of times. Random login, yeah. Try like a hacker, basically, like you want to.
Just play around.
Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry, is it supposed to log me out? Because I did it so many times, it's supposed to time out and tell me to log in after.
Did it lock you out?
No, I did it multiple times. It didn't time out.
Okay.
I think I'm experiencing the same thing here. I'm unable to sign out.
You're unable to sign out. Okay, so if you can go to your if you're using Microsoft Edge, go to your private window and type in that copy the URL and paste it in. So your private window wouldn't have had your details, and just use like an invalid user, invalid password. Just do that a couple of times, and you can change the username, or you can change the password. Of course, you don't need to register. That's the instruction. You don't need to register. Just attempt to log in.
So how about those using their phone to log in?
It's all right.
It's all
It
right.
doesn't. Yeah, it's all right.
Like I say, it doesn't really matter whether you log in with correctly or you log in, you don't gain access, or both ways are good.
Okay, I actually noticed something. There is no log up button here. What is there is just log in and sign up. So I think there should be log out button when you sign in, so you'll be able to log out.
Is there a sign out button?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, you saw sign out is another way of saying log out.
Yeah, I tried it. It's not
Did it
working.
work?
Yeah.
You don't need to log in. You don't need to register. When you click on the sign up, it opens up the username and password screen for you. Just attempt random username and random password, because you are not registered, so it shouldn't log you in. So we
Okay.
are trying to look for failed login attempts here. That's the idea.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Me, I'm also trying to log in.
Yeah.
Have we all done it? Hello, guys.
Yeah. Well, I did it. I mean, I've got
I've
some.
done it severally.
I got
You've done it severally.
few errors. Yeah.
You've done it severally. Let me just pull up the log. Let me check the log again, because I can see some activities here. Okay, I can see some activities here. What I can do, let me copy so I can share my screen and show.
Wow, the developers, they really did a very good work here.
Okay, so it's a bit, I can't mask, let me see if I can mask this because it's a bit, for security reasons, it will be difficult to share because I'm looking at this on the server. So what I can see, let me try to,
Is it possible to screenshot a particular place?
Yes, yeah. I'm going to do a screenshot and I'm going to allow me, or please, can you just stop sharing? Stop recording. Not the same as a cybersecurity role. An IT audit role is not the same as a cybersecurity role. However, they are closely related. The work can be done within IT audit side by side, and the work done in IT audit can overlap in areas of risk, compliance, and controls, because an IT auditor would analyze and test controls. And what are controls? These are the systems that are put in place. These are features, functionalities that are put in place to ensure that our systems are secure and compliant. So, and they follow policies really. IT audits, the audit can be internal, it can be external, and they work policies, networks, systems, just to ensure that the controls that are in place to protect the systems are actually doing what they need to do. That is what an IT auditor would do. But a cybersecurity professional would be the one in the forefront, like Lightning said earlier, to ensure that they are defending and protecting the systems from any real world threats. Is someone speaking?
Maybe
Can that person
they
mute,
have their
please?
microphone on.
Okay, all right, okay. So the IT auditor will be checking the IT auditor will be checking the controls that have been put in place, and their work overlaps with compliance. Compliance will ensure that what the IT auditor has said is as confirmed and evaluated as complete and accurate in terms of the test of effectiveness, of operating effectiveness that they've done. The compliant compliance professional would ensure the correctness of that. So they work hand in hand, because IT audit is also on a wide, because IT audit can happen on a financial at a financial services level. You are checking the controls that are put in place within the financial services. If customers are able to, if there are logs of whoever is approving requests for changes to functionalities, if all those requests and approval processes, if they are done correctly, if they are done correctly before any change is implemented in the system, for example, yes. So an IT auditor will be the one checking that. But in terms of protecting the systems and ensuring that the firewalls are in place and the rules guiding the firewalls, they are properly implemented, the cyber security analyst or engineer would be doing that.
Okay.
Yes. So
there is also another question by someone is raising his hands or her hands is Xiaomi 23108R. I don't know who has that phone. Is Xiaomi phone 23108R? Is the person here?
Hello, I'm the one raising my hand
Okay.
up. So I was the one who put up the question of the IT audit.
Oh, okay.
I was in First Bank one day. I saw a guy. I was really interested in his job. I saw him glued to his laptop. He didn't want to be disturbed. He was coding some information for me. So eventually he said he's an IT audit. He's doing IT audit fine. So as I was asking, is it the same as accounting audit, like auditor trying to do control and everything? He said, no, it is not accounting audit. It is strictly information technology. So, but he couldn't evolve. He was being careful. He didn't disclose what he was doing on the system. So I was really interested in, wow. So one could just build to one system and just stick to that and no distraction, just be working for the bank at one corner. So then another time I called HOP Zenith Bank to help me check my account. He was telling me that no, he's not going to do that because I want the IT guys to map in. That because they have record of who logged in, who signed in, what is he doing in my account, why is he checking it and everything. Did I authorize? Did I submit a teller? Did I authorize? Did I walk into the bank to do that? So that was when I got to know about log, this log that you explained. So while bringing everything together, I realized that yeah. So I was now trying to picture is that maybe the work of the cyber security, maybe those IT or the two, they work under this, and maybe they have similarity. They also work with logs. You understand? So I'm just trying to picture it, but I'll just go by your definition. There are two different things, according to what the lady explained. Yeah. I will not try to think too much. Yeah.
Yes, you're right. Don't overthink it.
Secondly, sorry, why is it difficult for Nigerian cyber security to get to know a particular faceless blogger in Nigeria with this IP address, everything you taught us? Is it that the cyber security, they are limited, they are restricted, they can't still do some things? There's a faceless blogger in Nigeria that I felt that nobody knows who is behind it. And with the record of Google knowing our destination, network, location, everything, what do you think is happening about that? Sorry.
Okay. All right. That's a very interesting question. Okay. Very, very interesting. So now, inside, like these hackers, they are very sophisticated because these are people that have dedicated themselves. There are different types of hackers, but there are professionals, that this is their job, that there is try and lock hackers, which we call script kiddies. They just have a little information and they try to flex what they know, or they go to YouTube, learn one things and they try to do it. But there are professional guys that are into these things. They know the system, they know what they do. So what they do is like, they hide their IP addresses, because sometimes it's possible to hide your IP address. It's like you can have your IP address and you connect towards you point it towards another place, and you now use another IP address, to do what you want to do. But the main real IP address that you're using, you're maxing it. Nobody knows it, and sometimes some of these guys, they use one IP address today. You can, in like a DNS server, I don't know what a DNS server is. Like a DNS server, like a website. A DNS server is a server whereby it matches addresses, web addresses, to particular email and IP addresses. So sometimes a particular DNS server, a particular name, can be mapped to 1, 2, 3, 4 IP addresses. But they are all using the same name. And when it comes to like that, sometimes it's a little bit difficult pinpointing the particular IP addresses they use. And sometimes somebody can have an IP address and he's maxing his IP address and he's using another IP address as a front. And we also have cases. In fact, when you come into cybersecurity cases in BlueSky Citadel, one of the first courses, this question you asked was one of the first things we were taught. And because I had I think we were doing logs and we were doing about emails, and we also used Wireshark. And when we were doing it, we found out that a particular IP address, they'll go, and some hackers, like some known organizations, they'll go and use Google IP address. That is an IP address that is known, a usable organization is, they know that this is the IP address of this organization. They will now use that IP address, to access some people and send fictitious emails. So now when you start tracing that email, you find out that that email, the IP address that was used to send that email, belongs to an organization in the US. Maybe the guy is in Ukraine or in Germany. He's using an organization's email IP address in the US to send fictitious emails. So now what we now do is, like, we now have to report to that organization, just in case you don't know. This fictitious email or this fictitious website has used your IP address to do this and that, and you'd have to inform the organization, and they actually tell you thank you. So it's now left for their cybersecurity experts to now look into it, to now actually see what is happening. So that's one of the ways you can, these guys, bloggers, the guys that are skilled in doing this, sometimes it makes it very difficult to catch them actually when they are very, very skilled. And some of these guys, there is something else they do. They use a particular DNS name today, and they use it, they operate probably for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they'll drop it. They'll drop the IP address they use in getting that DNS name. They just drop it. Then they will now go to another place, use that same DNS name again with another IP address. There's a way they do this thing, and they'll use it to do some other thing. Then after a while, they now drop it. So sometimes that's how come some of these guys are faceless. But however, there is always a day they always run out of luck. They always get caught. Trust me on this thing. They always get caught. There are dedicated people who are also dedicated in catching them. One day they run out of luck. It might just be an email address. It might just be one day, they just make a mistake and they get caught. If you listen to podcasts, there are very notorious hackers also that have been caught, and they make a lot of noise. Oh, I'm invincible, you can't catch me. But eventually they do catch them. I don't know if that answers your question. Hello, am I still on?
Yes, you're here, Lightning. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes,
Okay.
it's answered my question. Thank you.
Okay, do you still have more questions on the chat?
The other question I have, I don't know if it's relevant. Like the issue of like clearing your cache, deleting your browser information. Is there a particular way cybersecurity can get it from the cloud or somewhere after you have cleared your cache, clear everywhere from Google, such that you cannot get what I was doing? Is there a way cybersecurity is skilled in retrieving those things back, maybe from the cloud or somewhere? That's my last question. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, that's you're really asking some very tough questions. you're really asking some very tough questions. Your question is this: is there a way somebody's footprint, somebody who has claimed his cyber footprint, is there a way he can be traced? Hello?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
that's the
yes,
question.
Yeah,
yes.
that's the
You know,
question.
you said Google monitors everything and the domain location, everything. So after clearing my cache, after
Uh,
clearing my browser history, is there a particular way cybersecurity can just tell me I'm not skilled enough? Can he or she retrieve all those information, maybe from cloud or something, after deleting? Do you think
if
it's
you
gone
delete from
forever
your own
after deleting?
system,
Yes,
of
from
course
a
now, of
browser.
course, of course, if you delete from your own system, you've not deleted the one in the cloud, probably with Google.
Okay. Google, okay.
If you delete from your own system, what you've done is you've deleted your own system, but that which Google has, you've not deleted it. You've not deleted that one. And there is a way this thing operates now. Now, a lot of times, there is what we call availability of information or data. Now, if whatsoever thing that you do that Google records, they don't store it in one place. They might store it in 3 different locations. So if you delete the one you have, the one that they have too, might be stored in 2 different locations, in different parts of the world. So that's one thing about it. And that one, they do it because for security purposes. And just in case, let's like now you have an email. That's how come you have an email with Yahoo in the cloud. That your email you have in the cloud with Yahoo or them is not stored in one place. Yahoo probably has stored it in 3 different locations, just in case the first location, something happens to it. Probably a hacker hacks into it, or something happens, there is fire in that data center, or there is an earthquake and that data center comes down. The other 2 data centers where they have your information stored immediately, that is what we call failover. All the systems stored in one place fails over to the second one, and voila, they still present your data to you. But you that is accessing your information in Yahoo, you will not know that something has happened. And they do that one to maintain their integrity and to maintain the availability of data and information too. That is always, anytime you need it, is there for you. That's what they call availability. And it's part of the incident, one of the protective systems they put in place. Like we mentioned, incident response. Sometimes this incident response we are talking about is a system already that is being put in place, so that even before the incidents happens, they have a system that is automated, that responds to the incidents immediately. And you and I on this other side, on this front end, we will not even know that something has happened on the back end. So that's, I don't know if that will answers your question. Somebody says, please, is it possible to get a good job without any certifications? Now, my answer to that is yes, it is possible. And the reason what makes it possible is if you know what you are doing. Let's say like I've also told you, just like earlier on, I said that this course, the cybersecurity or the IT course, is a thing that has to do with experience. Do you know what you are doing? Are you skilled? Do you have results? If they call you on as a SOC analyst, and they give you logs, can you correctly interpret it? Can you spot when there is an incident? If you go for an interview and they present a scenario to you, can you effectively, tell them what to do or is possible to be done or what should be done in that scenario? How skillful are you with tools? This is what employers want to see. Not really the certifications, because sometimes people have certifications and they don't have this skill. However, certifications will also boost, your ability to get a job, but it's not to say that it is the main primary thing that they are actually looking for, because what you are actually looking for is skill. So that's why we emphasize you build skill. That is why at BlueSky Citadel, it is on the job training. What you are going to experience on the job, the job, the role, the job description, what they're going to tell you to do. They're going to tell you to monitor logs. How are you going to monitor the logs? How would you interpret the logs? What tools do you use to monitor traffic? Wireshark. How do you interpret Wireshark? What does Wireshark do? These are what we're going to teach you on the job training, which is actually what you need to know even when you attend interviews. Yeah.
Okay, I've lost all the questions.
No, there is a question from 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐂𝐓 and there is a question from Christopher Ebong.
Okay, all right.
Can I? Yeah, talking about the information being stored on in cloud by different servers and different company. I was gonna ask, right? What about this policy of say, okay, if you mentioned about maybe like Google having different storage, to store information just in case one goes down and the other one can still make use of the other one. Now, what about the policy where the forgot me policy where you can write a company to say, look, forget about my history, terminate everything, clean all my my history. I don't want my history. I don't want any of my information on your server anymore.
Okay.
How does that work?
Yeah, yeah. So that one, unless you write them and you tell them, forget me, clean up everything you have about me, yeah, they will do it. They will delete whatsoever they have concerning you on or everywhere they have stored it. Yeah, they do it, and it's your right, under the GDPR, European Convention, it's your right, and there's no company that has a that has the authority or to say to refute your right and say they're not going to do it. It's your right. So if on that case, if you write them and tell them delete it, not only Google or this, in every organization probably that has your detail, and you tell them delete me from this thing, yeah, they will delete you. Yeah, they will delete you. Some even places, whereby you have there are some organizations that have in every data that they store, let's say like that is archived in them. Like I know about Amazon, they have a lifespan. Probably they archive an information for 6, 7, 8, 10 years, depending on it. They delete it. Once that information is not accessed any longer, for a certain number of time, they just delete it from their system. But then, as good as it sounds in these things to like we are all talking about here, they don't forget that as well, that they themselves too have some information that they also claim into, that most especially informations that they use in developing their businesses. It's sometimes is one thing to say it on paper, and some other time it's actually another thing to actually do it, depending on the information they hold. There are some information that for them it is business. That's what they use to do their business. It's a machine learning model that they used. And don't also forget that these companies, these big time companies, they're all in a race to outdo one another. And there are also new companies coming up every day, so there are some informations they let go of easily. There are some they don't let go of that easily. And those ones that they don't let go of that easily, they're not going to tell you that they have that information. They're going to look at you in the face and tell you that they don't have that information, but then whether they have it, you don't know. But if they tell you we no longer have it, then they know, like, and there's nothing you can do. You can't send policemen to go and arrest them. Sometimes, I don't know if you observed in the news, sometimes even the House of Senate, they call Mark Zuckerberg to come and face a panel, and they ask him some questions. But the truth is that there's to an extent in which they can bully him or assess him, and yeah, their power over him has a limit, and that's the truth for the world we are dwelling in today, which is the tech world. So yeah, so to speak, if you write to them and tell them delete everything about me, they are obligated under law, depending on where the data is stored, because every country has different laws. EU has its own law. US have their own law. Africa, Nigeria, Africa, West Africa, they have their own law. Asia have their own law. China has their own law. Like China, you can tell China delete information, but whether they will delete it or not is, there are data laws. So a lot of countries and regions have data sovereignty. In the IT world, we call it data sovereignty. So they all have their own laws governing there. So, but if you tell them, let's say like in Europe, EU, that one I know, GDPR, if you say delete my data, they have to delete it. Under European law, they have to delete it. That one I know.
I also observed that, sometimes when you click on subscribe from this thing, you still get notification, you still get things. And I'm like, what on earth is happening? Sometimes I have to call and I said, look, just stop sending me information. So I don't know, just like you're saying, they might be using it for their own benefit for, for all that research and things. Yeah. Anyway, that's my question. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Lightning, I just want us to quickly go through this log,
Okay.
this sample log that I have. Damisola, can you allow me to share screen, please?
Okay. Should I stop sharing?
Yeah, done.
Okay, thank you.
Should I stop sharing?
Yes, yeah, you can. Okay, so I managed to take this screenshot, and I think it should look better for everyone to see with that white background. So let's yes. Yeah, so I got these logs out on the server, but what I want us to do with this is to analyze. I'll explain and ask questions as we go along. So this is what it looks like. And like earlier, Lightning has explained what logs are and what you expected to see in a log, for example. So this, the command I sent in through here was to extract the web application logs for me in real time. And I got this. It took some time, but this was the very first screenshot I took. So what you have here is the IP address of a client accessing the website. So I requested for that for the logs to come to show up for anyone accessing the Mentors Kit website. So, and that's the timestamp. Every log should always have a timestamp. If a timestamp is missing, there's no way you'll be able to get your investigation or analysis right as a SOC analyst. So the timestamp has to be there. Someone was asking earlier about IT auditors. These are some of the things they look at as well. When they come in to audit systems, they request for audit logs. So most of the time, any application that is built, any system, because they want to be able to investigate and assess and evaluate the correctness of the information that's been given to them by the organization that they are auditing based on whatever framework they are using. So the request for these audit logs and just to confirm the correctness. And this dash you see here is meant to be, is usually for the user ID and authentication, whatever user ID sometimes it's masked. You can see the user ID. In some logs, you actually see the user ID, but it's not used here. Then yeah, I've talked about the data time of the request. Then this get is an HTTP method. You get to understand that later. And if anyone has done API testing before, you understand what a GET request is. This is showing as an HTTP method and URL path. So this is a request. This actually is a request. This was slash. It is a request for the home page. I think when whoever went onto the home page, when you see that get slash is say wherever it's going into, and this 301 actually this is an HTTP status. We have loads of them. I'm sure you would have seen 500, 400, 404. So this is similar, but this is a permanent redirect. So I can see the 301 there. Even the moment I saw these logs, I was thinking there's a lot to look at from to analyze on these logs, because I was expecting to see some things coming up. Probably the command that I ran wasn't adequate, but I was just wondering why some items are missing. But I'm going to investigate that, and that's just going to be on the server side. So this is for a permanent redirect, and the 231 is shows the size of the response in bytes. So that is what that is about. And this double quote here shows the referrer. In this case, we don't have any. And the final one, go to HTTP client. That's the user agent. So sometimes it will tell you it will tell you where the user is logging in from, whether from a Windows machine or from a Mac machine. You highlight the browser, all those information. So that's the breakdown of this, but I would just like to ask some questions if quickly, just to engage the potential cybersecurity analysts here. So my first question, I've explained that this is an IP. So now, wearing your hat of a cybersecurity analyst, if I ask you how many unique, please pay attention to detail, how many unique IP addresses made requests in this log sample? How many are they? You can call them out. You can unmute and call them out. How many are they?
6.
6. Yeah, who said that? Oh, all right. Yeah,
PP.
I owe you chocolates.
Thank you.
All right, fine. That is good. So what? Yeah, because one IP appears twice. Yeah. Yeah, fantastic. So what HTTP method was used in all of these requests?
Sorry, come again.
What HTTP method was used in all of these requests?
Get.
Yes. More chocolates.
The get method.
Get the answer.
Yeah, you're right. So I don't
Okay.
know, unless you're familiar or you've been seeing this, so maybe you've been really, really curious enough. What other method would it have been if it was not get? Most likely. Anyone?
Posts, yeah.
Yes, post.
Post.
The post method.
You're fantastic. That's good. So what does the HTTP 301, what does it mean? The HTTP status 301, what does it mean?
That'd be a reference.
Permanent redirect.
Permanent redirect,
Perfect.
yeah. And what does
Yeah.
permanent? It means the client was redirected to another
Redirected to
Another
another site again.
URL. Okay. Okay. So this one is the next question is a really detailed one. Just pay attention to the question. What is the time range covered in the law?
2118 to 2133.
So 2118
to 20,
2133.
Excuse me,
118.
what are you doing on this call? What are you doing on this call?
I have no idea what cybersecurity is.
You should be doing the job already. So that is how many minutes window?
It would be
That's about 10.
15.
15.
15.
Yes.
10.
You know, like
10.
if you've done, me, medium, mode, range, statistics, but when you're calculating the range, you
Okay,
look
that
at
one
the
is 15.
highest minus the lowest, you subtract the
Lowest.
lowest from the highest. Yeah. So that's the range.
That's
Because this
15.
is everything you have here is a sample log, okay? So I have another question. Which path was most commonly requested? Yes, yeah. Which path was most
When you
commonly
say what? Oh, you
Safari?
mean
Yeah,
in
the path,
numbers or
/HTTP, which path was most commonly requested?
Safari?
1.1.
well, in numbers, right?
1.1.
Yeah.
301 to 35.
Which one? Three. So
301 to
No,
35.
no,
1.1
that's
and 30301.
yeah.
There's
It was most
1.1 to prospect
1.131
subscript 301.
mostly
235.
mostly requested. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one is that? The first, second,
The
third? Which one?
235.
1, 2. Yeah. 2, 3.
1.1, 301 to
235.
325.
7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 7 of them. 1.1301235. 7.
All of them.
No, it's
Did you
just
say?
7 of them.
Okay, which one? Call it out.
Actually, 6.
Yeah.
This is 235.
Okay.
That's
I think it's everything.
1.1301 235.
235. There are 6 of them.
1.101. There's 6 of them. Sorry, 6 of 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5. It's 6 of them. Correct.
1, 2, 3,
That's
3,
6.
4, 5,
5,
6.
6. Yeah, mostly
It's 6 of them.
requested. Yeah,
6.
mostly. Yeah. So which of the IP addresses made let me see what question, multiple requests?
Okay.
The 217 and the 86.
8623247.
7 and
1,
the
2,
217.
2.
Which one are you looking at? Okay, the 217, yeah.
The 217
And
the
multiple
86.
requests.
86.2.
Yeah.
And the 86.
862. Okay, yeah.
8623427.
247. Okay, fantastic. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic. So possibly for these multiple requests, it could be maybe the user was refreshing the page quickly, and then the requests get sent multiple times. Do you think there are any entries from a mobile device here? Is any visible? Is there any
Yes.
For the mobile device, there's no one that is visible at the moment.
Yeah, because the mobile could have identified
It is the mobile device. It will
intents.
identify it after the numbers, then it will let you know, okay, this is coming from a mobile
Mobile.
device. But unfortunately, it's not recorded, so we cannot actually say if it's from a mobile device. But mostly it's from
Windows. They are mostly from
the
Windows.
the laptop.
Yeah, Windows, yeah. So
Safari.
Windows.
as
Windows,
a
exactly.
security analyst, which of this IP would you want to flag for review and why?
Come again, please.
As a SOC analyst, which of these IP addresses would you want to flag for review? Like, I suspect something about this particular IP address. Which of them?
I think the second one.
Okay, why?
Because
Because of the
it's different from everything. It's having this
tax.
include
Oh,
CSS
you already
Yeah,
have the skin.
hello.
You already have the skin. Okay, that jumped at me the moment I saw it as well. Like,
CSS.
yeah, that one looks like. I hope it's not a non-browser
Issue.
client. Yeah, he's actually using a non-browser
Yeah,
client.
it's
Yeah,
a non-brother client because it's showing Mozilla.
yeah.
Yeah,
Is
that's
this
it.
one? It's showing WP dash
That's not what they're
includes.
saying.
Yeah, can you see?
Buttons,
Do
yeah.
you get it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other
WP
ones are
includes it says buttons.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, so as a SOC analyst, these are the kind of things that this is even a simple one, and I'm glad that you've
And it's
been
even
able to
having
pick.
a programming language.
And
It's having
also,
a
can I chip
language.
in
That
something?
CSS is the
Yes,
language.
please do.
Different
Please
from
do.
every other. Different from every other.
Yeah, when you said the one that did not mostly use, which the lady said is number two, I quite agree with her. I noticed that most time when we browse, we get to see Mozilla, Safari, or Chrome. Those are the very three important, this thing we get to
Browsers.
see
Yeah.
when we're browser. Exactly. But the other one she talked about, which is the WP include, CSS is not common at all.
Yeah, yeah. That's a nice one. Spot on. Spot on. Yeah. Um, what
So,
additional
sorry,
data do you?
sorry,
Okay. Yeah,
can
sure,
we say
sure.
the owner of this number two that tried to log in is a programmer because of this CSS programming language? Can we just say maybe the person is a programmer, so he's already encrypts his site for
Yeah.
for such to be
Yeah.
not be easily detected or something? Can we say maybe the guy is he or she is a programmer?
He or she a programmer or a chatbot.
Yeah, because this because this CSS is a programming language, and we're not seeing it in the rest of the login.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking too much.
Yes, or an automated chatbot. Okay. Yeah, you are right. Yeah, man, it could be because it stands out from the list of the logs that we have here. It definitely stands out. So as a SOC analyst, it would be one that you would want to investigate to say, why is this showing up? Um, if there was any additional data that would have helped you analyze this log better, what data do you think? Because as a SOC analyst, sometimes you get to the workplace and based on your experience, really, after you've done your investigation and analysis, you want to make recommendations as well, and you feel, if we had this on this log, if we had this information in this log, it would probably have given more insight earlier because you had to do a lot more digging because that particular additional data wasn't present. What would it be? What would it be for you? Like, look at each log. What would it be? Like, I mean, there's no, I just want us to wear thinking hats, like, okay, I've been given this to work with. I've done the work. I'm done, but I want to make a recommendation that I think this log sample would have helped me do this work better if this information was there clearly. Now everyone is quiet. I believe you are thinking.
Okay. Can I just do a notable observation concerning
Sure.
this log generally?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. First and foremost, every request receives a 301 HTTP status, which invariably implies permanent direct.
Mm-hmm.
Also, all accesses are GET GAT, which is GET request. No form
Mm-hmm.
submission, which is the post or other
Mm-hmm.
interaction. The third
Mm-hmm.
one is the requests are clustered within 15 minutes. I don't know if I'm correct. I'm just
Yeah.
taking a guess
Mm-hmm.
on that 15 minutes. Then the last one is user agents are diverse. Different browsers and OS types suggest multiple users or one user spoofing UA string. Then the last one is the IP addresses are all different except for one, which is 86.2.3.241, which appears twice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
7.
that's all I can say for now. I have other things I'll chip in.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've analyzed this log. You've highlighted what is visible to the eye. You've extracted information and given your thoughts on what you can infer from the details, from the data you have here, which is fine, and I like that. So that sounds
Thank you.
like if you are asked to write a report around, analyze this and give me a report, because you could get something like that. This is a sample log. Can you analyze this? What they're expecting you to do is to everything you've just done now is part of the role. You analyze and give your reports. And one of the things that I would want to hear, it was the question I asked. You've not told me what is missing. I remember when I started explaining each of the log information, there was something I mentioned. I said, "Oh, it's not here right now," but it's just one of those information that would also help you. Say you were trying to detect um I don't want to say it right now. You are trying to locate uh where the login attack is coming from, or maybe
Exactly.
someone in the organization is logging in at a particular odd time. Because once you get that information, you don't need to spend a lot of time here. You can go to the Active Directory of the organization and extract the persons. Okay. Now, what is it?
Yeah.
What's that? Yeah, what's it?
From what you're saying, I think in other words, when the person login, what we're trying to do is to be able to trace the IP addresses of that particular individual.
Mm-hmm. And
Which of course and also the repeated IP address, which might be a real user or someone testing it. And also the
okay.
user agent will also be able to help detect scrappers or spoofing.
Okay. And
Ah, and and the
Geolocation.
I think it has to do with
location. Okay.
I'm tracking my
Location
head.
is
Location. Yeah, sorry.
Geolocation.
The VPN. If
okay.
the
We
person is
don't have
actually
the
using the
VPN, or like we don't have the location information here, but of course you can pick up the IP address, go to one of those tools, virus total, IP location, this, and find that location. But there's really something very important that is missing in this sample log.
I think it has to do with the two columns in front after the 81 at the top.
Yes, yeah. What was that? Does anybody? I mentioned it the moment I started analyzing this. What was that? Oh, and you've all used the
Is it
details.
permanent redirect? Is it
Username.
permanent
Somebody just
redirect?
said it now.
Redirect.
Permanent redirect. Okay.
The
Username.
username
I
and the
said it.
password.
I noted
I actually said
permanent
it.
redirect. I wrote it down. But I didn't know that's what you
I actually said it, but my mind didn't go there. I actually said it. Permanent
Username, it's
redirect.
here. It's here.
Oh.
301 is the status for
That's so.
permanent redirect, but this is here. It's missing. It's like
The
this is
username is
just like
missing because of the two dots, the two dash. Yes,
yeah.
that's it. The two
Yeah.
dash.
So like imagine, or I'm working for BBC right now. I'm a SOC analyst, and I've been given this sample log. There's been a login attempt at an odd hour, and I can see the IP address, and this log they've given me hasn't gotten the details. Of course, all I would just do, okay, fine, I can pick the IP address. And this information is not actually telling me directly that is coming from our own server. Yeah. So some of the information I could quickly check is to, because if I'm familiar, if it's something I see every day, some of the information will jump at me to say, okay, this is coming from our internal server. But right now, I'm new in the organization. I don't even know. You understand? Okay, I don't even know what, I need to start getting, because every organizations would have there are some information that are standard for web application logs. Like you need to have a timestamp there, you need to have the IP address, you need to know what request it is, you need to know the client information. Some are just standard, the browser information, all of those things. And this log, I don't know, but guess what? If you had a username in there, before I start to check anything external, I check the IP. Does this IP even look like does this IP tell me it's coming from within the organization? I mean, also within the organization might mean that the user of the application works remotely, and they are trying to do their work at midnight or something, or they forgot their password, or they traveled, or somebody stole their laptop, they're trying to get in. Anything could be happening. Then I see the username, and the username looks like a username that looks like the way the username in the organization is. Of course, I don't need to do a lot of investigation or digging more than just, get the username, get access to go to the Active Directory where, users are set up in the organizations and all that. And if I can find that username, then I can see that, oh, this username belongs to the organization. Then I'll know that my very first, because you also need to know what are the prior checks you need to do, because you don't want to be looking for something in Sokoto when it is in of course, you know what I'm talking about. So the first place is understand what your prior checks are, identify them, then before you now start to expand your investigation. It's really interesting. You need to have an investigative mind, pay attention to detail. I would say, honestly, you've all done well, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the internship. This has really been a very interesting evening. I don't even know that the time has really gone past, but I guess, yeah, that is me for the night. Any questions? Thank you all for joining this class tonight. Any question?
Sorry, the only question I have now is that people that are trying to match the software testing with cybersecurity, and are we still going to do this core cybersecurity, or is going to be like a borrow courses from cybersecurity?
I don't understand. You said people that are trying to do what?
The software testing course, quality assurance, software. There's a course called software testing and cybersecurity together. on your website.
Okay, yeah, okay. So that
Yes.
was
So
okay.
okay.
Okay, I
So I'm
get what you
asking
mean.
that, are we also going to be doing all this cybersecurity, or are we just going to borrow little part of cybersecurity? Because I found this cybersecurity interesting now, so I don't know whether to port to cybersecurity or not. It's so interesting.
Okay, so I think the website has not been updated. Because we had some requests for people they want to have an idea of cybersecurity or software testing, and they want to kind of combine. But I will say honestly, you just need to pick one and focus on one. When you're on the platform, you can always, get your interest into the other one to understand what they are doing. But if you really want to do a bit, combine them both in a way, it can also be beneficial to you. But I can let Deji speak on this, but it's good to understand what the SOC analyst does. And as a test, like for example, when I said earlier that to copy the URL and try to log in with your invalid data, what you were doing at that point is using invalid test data to access a login functionality, and that is testing. Do you understand? So it's good to understand, that as well, because it would also help you in your cybersecurity journey. Deji, if you want to talk, please.
Okay, yeah. So we have the combo actually. So if you're interested in software testing and cybersecurity, you can go ahead and register for the course on the website. But you need to let us know which one is your main, which one is your minor, right? Because sometimes the time of these courses can overlap when we are doing them. So even though if you miss the minor one, you can get the recording of that. But we need to know which one is your main one, because the program is practical. You are going to be assigned to a team and you are going to be acting within that team. So it will be good to know which one is your main one, so that within that team, you are going to be that part. You are going to act that role. Apologies. So it means that if you are a cybersecurity SOC analyst within the team, you are going to be main SOC analyst for that team, right? So you are not going to be a tester within that particular team. So yeah. So, but of course, you can then watch the recording or attend the courses for cybersecurity. The same way if you are software testing. If you get what I mean. Over to you, Pa.
Yes, I got it. Yes, I got it.
Yeah, so I'm done. So unless anyone has a question, but of course, what we have done tonight, you've had the introduction, you've had the breakdown of what it means to be a cybersecurity analyst, what it means to be a SOC analyst. You've gone through the journey of understanding the type of roles that you can apply for as a cybersecurity analyst. You've lightly also touched on log analysis and if a few more other concepts tonight. So what we've just done now practically is log analysis. We've analyzed a log sample, all right, and it has helped us to detect a log event that looks off in that list, which we feel that one will require more investigations. And of course, we've also seen a couple of multiple logs, which we feel that okay, why is this happening? We may want to look at that in further detail. We've also identified that there are some information missing on the log samples, which could have helped us better, if we were working within a particular use case or case study, to understand how to analyze logs and review. And we've also listened to each other in this room. I know some people have got some experience, and what they are looking out for is the hands-on and the ability to be able to look at look at data, and extract the information that are visible there, extract the information that are not visible. You can write some sort of reports there. You can see someone has given us like an executive summary of what that log sample contains. So I believe some value has been added here tonight, and I want to ask if you've gotten value, just put 111 in the chat. I want to thank you so much to Lightning, able and ever consistent mentor on the platform. Thank you so much, Lightning, for the training tonight. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm sure our participants here, they also enjoyed it. So on that note, it's been nice speaking with you all, and if you do decide to come into the program for the internship, you'll be seeing hearing more from us. We have very wonderful and amazing mentors and buddies and trainers on board who are ever so happy to help, guide, and direct, and support in whichever way they want to. So, good night, everyone. Thank you.
Sorry, before.
Okay, right. Someone has a question?
Yes, sorry. Before we round up, now that we've done this introduction, what is the next step for those of us that want to do cybersecurity? That really wants to. What will be the next? Are we still having another class after this for cybersecurity, or the next thing will be the hands-on?
Okay, so the next thing, Deji, do you want to say something?
Yeah. So the next one is the hands-on one, right? So you have opportunity to decide whether you want to do 3 months program or 1 year program. If you decide to do 3 months program, all right, so you pay £1,000, and you can also pay in 3 installments.